Alright guys, so as the title of this video suggests, I've now seen all 10 episodes of Star Trek Picard Season 3. I'm not going to say how I managed to see those final 4 episodes, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'm not scripting this video like I usually do. I usually write a script for my videos. I'm just doing this off the cuff. And I am very, very satisfied with how this season concludes. Not just how the story of this season ends, but how the Next Generation cast is given a brilliant send-off. And I would argue it's an even bigger send-off than the original series crew got in Undiscovered Country. And I'm not sort of, comparing or anything. It's just, it's a massive, the last episode of the season is just gargantuan. It's huge. It is absolute hardcore balls to the wall. It's a big, epic, shattering showdown, and I won't get into any specifics here, so I have to keep everything vague and to be spoiler free. But you're just going to be beaming from ear to ear, especially at the end of episode 9 and throughout episode 10, because it is. And even saying this might be giving away too much. It feels like a homecoming. I can say that much. I can say that much. I would say that episode 7, there's quite a bit of exposition, and there's a lot there. And this I expected, and this almost always happens in shows that do the mystery box format. And this is mystery box format again, where you are sort of each week you're drip fed a few more details of a wider mystery. And only this season, it's actually good. It's actually worthwhile. And when you get to the end of that episode 9, you sort of know what's what. But what I'd say is in episode 7, we get a lot of detail then on Vadic, on the villain, and what she's all about. And like I said before, she only plays I guess a utilitarian function in the grand scheme of things, because the threat this season is massive. It is huge, and it's very existential to the Federation itself. But it's multi-layered, and there's another layer that I only learned about in those final 4 episodes. I think I can say that much. So there's a lot I want to say, and there's a lot I'll hold back on until I have reviewed those specific individual episodes after they air, of course. But what I'll say is it's a phenomenal conclusion, and you're going to be very happy with how it ends for this Next Generation cast. Nemesis was just not a good conclusion for them. It was pretty bland, and it had no real heart behind it. It's definitely an emotional few episodes for these characters. But everybody gets their time to shine. Everybody gets their moment. And also, what I'd say is, there is a second F-bomb actually, but this one I'll give it a pass this time because it was funny, actually. But so there's only 2 in the whole season. Generally, there's less swearing in the final 4. And what I will say is that in the final few episodes, there's also some good humor, some good levity. But I would not describe it like I wouldn't compare it to Marvel's cheesy humor. I wouldn't say anything like that. It's genuinely, it fits, it plays well, and it helps to break the tension, because the stakes just get raised higher and higher in those final 3 episodes or so. And so you need something occasionally, to break the tension, and it works well in that regard. Just a few gags, maybe 3 or 4 decent moments. And then so when everything is over, what I will say is you have to stay for a mid-credit scene, and I'm not going to say any more than that. I won't give anything away there, but it's very worthwhile. This young man, this new actor they brought in, Ed Spilleers, is really something very special. I think he's going to be a superstar. He is extremely versatile, very likable. I mean, he runs the gamut from from kind of cocky, charismatic, charming, vulnerable. You know, he's definitely an all-rounder. I think he's going to have his own show. I think he's going to be very big, and you're really going to like him. It's very rare these days in modern Star Trek, or almost any of the big franchises, you know, when they bring back the old cast and they have the new cast, like with, for example, Star Wars. You only really wanted to see the old cast. You didn't want to see new people so much. But this time, I really did care about the new characters. And his character is someone that you genuinely root for and you genuinely care about. And so I think you'll get great value there as well. What I'll say is, if actually Star Wars is a good starting point. The new trilogy, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker, it's kind of hard to compare because they are massive budget movies by comparison to this TV show of 10 episodes. But what was so disappointing was the fact that they didn't get Han, Luke, and Leia together, and in any meaningful way. Like they weren't on screen together. Like, it was just insane. But not only do we get the entire cast together, they're together in a really meaningful way, in the best possible way, and where they belong. So it has been said by some people and some reviews of some people who got early access to the first 6. And I won't necessarily disagree with this criticism. Some people have said that there is a lot of fan service. And that is true. You know, there is, like I've described it, it's the greatest hits of Star Trek. And there are so many callbacks, and to me, this season feels like a celebration of Star Trek. I mean, I didn't even mention before in my discussion, in my review of it a few days ago, about the music. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. So it's a wonderful score. It's probably the best score of a television show that I can recall. But there's a little bit of everything there. Callbacks to the other shows and the movies. There's elements of Dennis McCarthy's work, Jerry Goldsmith, James Horner as well. So I really don't mind the fan service label at all, actually. If the season is to be criticized on that level at all. You know, when you think about it, for the last 14 years of Star Trek, since 2009, the fans have not been given what they wanted at all, really. And now it feels very much like Terry Matalas went out of his way to give the fans what they deserve. And this one is from a fan to the fans. Absolutely, 100%. So you could definitely say there's a lot of wish fulfillment there. That's not a bad thing. Now, again, to address one concern that comes up quite a lot is, do you need to have seen the first 2 seasons of Star Trek Picard in order to watch this? The answer to that is no. I don't think you need to have seen very much of any modern Trek, actually, to jump straight into this. There are some details that are mentioned from season 1. I don't think there's anything of any interest in season 2 at all that's talked about. It's only ever season 1, because obviously they talk about Picard's positronic body, which is still a big bugbear for many people, and I really wish it hadn't happened. It was a stupid decision. Terry Matalas inherited that, like I say, and he had to work with what he had. And as I've mentioned, it's sort of downplayed a lot, as if it was kind of treated like it was just a sort of a cosmetic thing more than anything. The wording at the end of that episode in season 1, where Picard and Data are sort of in some sort of heaven, I suppose, and Data says to Picard that Alton Inigo Soong, that's the brother of Noonien Soong, along with Jurati and Soji, have managed to, the words he uses are, scan, map, and transfer a complete neural image of your brain's substrates. Now, the problematic word there is image, because in computing terms, image implies copy. So those words, when I heard them first, didn't make me immediately believe that it was Picard's consciousness that had been specifically transferred, essentially his soul. That's what you're looking for. You're looking just for the essence of the person, what makes them who they are in their body, that is the thing that has been transferred. But it's made clear in season 3, they've straightened that concern out by saying, look, this is the same man. This is the same Jean-Luc Picard. And I'm not defending that ridiculous decision at the end of season 1. I'm just saying Robert Meyer Burnett has also stated something that is worth considering. This is not the first time that Star Trek has dealt with the concept of transferring a consciousness into an android body. So there is at least a precedent for it, I suppose you could argue. But what I will say is this. As the season progresses, like later on at a certain point, there is what I would describe as a lantern that is hung on that issue. And hanging a lantern on something is a writing trick that's used to address an audience concern about some sort of problem in the story or plot inconsistency or whatever it might be. And so by mentioning it, they mitigate and address the audience's concerns, and then the story can continue. And I think to a certain degree, that is done later in the season. And so you'll be able to, I think many of you will be able to make peace with what happened there. Likewise, and this is probably a bigger ask, Terry has left this era of the franchise, certainly this 25th century era of Star Trek, he's left it in a very good place at the end of season 3. And if the franchise was to continue under his stewardship, I think things would be very good going forward, because he's gotten all of the characters and the universe and Starfleet and everything that we love about Trek, he's gotten it to a place that is recognizable again to hardcore fans. That does not undo the last 14 years of Kurtzman era, Secret Hideout Trek and the JJ movies. It doesn't undo any of that. And like I've heard the calls myself, and I at some point wished it would happen, that the last 14 years of Trek could be undone, or they could be consolidated into some alternative universe, and we could go back to the end of Nemesis or the end of Enterprise in 2005 and go forward from there and just pretend that all of this was some alternate universe bad dream or whatever. And the reality is that that is probably unlikely and unrealistic. And I'm not saying that it won't happen, and certainly it could happen, but I don't think it will. Nobody's saying that you have to like those 14 years. You can just push them aside and go forward from this point. Some of that stuff that happened before serves as a kind of a backstory, but it's there for better or worse. Mostly for worse, it's there. But at least from this point going on, things are a lot brighter, they're a lot better, and they're much more, they're genuine Star Trek again. Hopefully, that's assuming that Terry continues on as showrunner of the next stage of the franchise. My hope is that the decision makers at Paramount recognize just how good this final season of Picard really is, and that this is the kind of Star Trek that fans deserve and want going forward. But if it isn't, if this happens to be an anomaly, a one-off, really good season out of the last 14 years, then I hope that people just enjoy it for what it is, because I think people have waited long enough, and I assure you this time you're really going to get it, and you're going to be very pleased with this season and how it ends. So that about does it for now, guys. Stay tuned for my reviews of the individual episodes of Picard Season 3 after they air. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.